I thought I was gonna die.
As many of our KTXS viewers may remember, our news station was destroyed by severe weather on June 8th. Now, 6 months later, we're back at the station to take a deeper look at the damage and the cause.
This is the exact spot I was standing 6 months ago, just seconds, even maybe a minute before the station was destroyed by severe weather. What was once rumored to be a tornado was actually determined by the National Weather Service to be a microburst with up to 90-mile-an-hour winds. I thought maybe it was a tornado. At the time, I mean, you're in something where there's tons of winds and we're watching these radar signatures and there's hail and you can see some shear in the area, and I'm watching these winds outside kind of circulate, but in the moment it's kind of hard to tell. And then you walk into the studio and the roof is peeling completely back and you're feeling these things in your chest and it's just really loud and there's a lot going on. And you're like, okay, get down. Like that, you're expecting the worst, really. Like I thought the whole roof was gonna come off and like we were about to fly out of this building, kind of that feeling. I remember being at that door right there by the garage, taking a video. The winds were really crazy. They were kind of spinning in this corner of the building. And then the lights went out. And then me and Mark were walking back to the studio and the roof was peeling off. And then it was just kind of chaos from there. The emergency lights were going off, but none of us really knew what to do. We were just like, oh my gosh, what just happened? We didn't fully know what happened at the time. We knew there was bad weather and strong winds, but really didn't kind of be able to piece it together until after the fact. Another reason why we may have thought it was a tornado, or some people thought it was a tornado as well, is it was that typical train noise that people describe when you hear a tornado coming. And the reason that is that noise when tornadoes come is it's the winds. Those winds are going 100 plus miles an hour in tornadoes, and they deemed ours 90 miles an hour. So I didn't remember hearing a lot of it, but I do remember kind of just like my ears were popped and like it was just like loud. I mean, 90 miles an hour, like that's why we warn so much about winds, because they can be so dangerous. They can be just as destructive just by themselves. They don't just have to have circulation. It could come off as in the moment we were like, okay, it felt like a tornado, sounded like a tornado, it did damage like a tornado. Maybe it is a tornado, but we knew at the time it could potentially be declared as something different. And at the end of the day, it was determined a microburst, which is all the air in that storm being cut off, dropping to the surface at 90 miles an hour was predicted for us, and that makes it so isolated. So not a tornado, definitely had damaging winds like a tornado, but did not have that circulation. In our real life scenario here at the station, the microburst likely hit somewhere in this parking lot area enough to lift this carport out of the ground and then smack into this 200-foot tall tower that is held by guide wires. And then those guide wires slammed into our building. These guide wires that are on the back of our building are what caused the most damage to our garage. The garage collapsed down after the tension of the guide wires hit it, and then just 50 feet behind this garage is where Mark and I were in the station. I don't really like to think about it that often, but when I do, it's a bit harder. It does bring back a lot of memories. I spent a lot of really early mornings at this building and met a lot of my best friends at this building. And I mean, we're still our station, absolutely, but you can't bring back everything that happened in there. It wasn't a blessing ever at all, but I do think as a station, it's helped us, come together, and it brings you closer. That's for sure. But mentally, it's hard to kind of think we're coming up on severe weather season. You never want to become the disaster. When I feel wind now, like after the summer, when I feel wind, it kind of sends a chill down my spine. But I'm ready, of course. This is why I wanted to become a meteorologist. I got into it for this, so it's not gonna stop me. If anything, it's given me a renewed sense of wanting to make sure that everybody's safe and making sure that we kind of have a handle on things. It wasn't that we weren't prepared to begin with. We were prepared. It was just that storms can strengthen in a split second, and that's what happened. And really, it wasn't necessarily the storm was strengthening either. It just, all those winds came crashing down, and you can't necessarily predict that. So we knew it was going to be a tough day, and we know there's going to be tough days to come. It just is a matter of making sure that we're prepared. Everybody else is too. From here to ACU and now the Enterprise Building, no matter where we are, KTXS will continue to bring the latest across the Big Country.